Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Um, my name is Stephanie Bree. This is Horror Trans. I am a transgender woman. I had a brain fart there for a second. I talk about all things horror, and when I say all things horror, that includes subgenres and horror adjacent films as well, which is what we're talking about today. Steven Spielberg's 1993 mega hit, blockbuster Jurassic Park. Now, I'm going to throw this out there. To me, Jurassic Park is not pure horror. It is not straight horror. It is not, you know, like just raw horror. This isn't just horror. This is more of a sci-fi, action, adventure, family, fantasy, thriller, horror blockbuster. So, yes, it has multiple genres and subgenres and things of that sort. Horror is a small component to this movie. I think it has horrific or terrifying elements, but I do consider creature films a subgenre of horror. And this is definitely a creature film. So, I'm not going to give you the plot points or the beats because you've likely seen Jurassic Park. And I'm not going to recommend it to you, buy or rent or anything, because you likely already own it. And you're watching this video because you want to hear my opinion on if this is horror or not. That's what you're here for, most likely. And so this is my explanation for why I decided to cover this movie on this channel. I do consider creature films a subgenre of horror. So they're not like pure, straight, raw horror in the strictest sense, but they're horror in the same sense that Escape from Witch Mountain is not technically fantasy, but it is a subgenre of fantasy in its own right. So its creature features are a type of horror or a subgenre of horror, but they're not just strict, pure, raw horror. The other reason why I wanted to talk about this movie is because I saw it in theaters when I was 11 years old. Or 12 years old. I can't remember. 11 or 12, whenever this movie came out. 11. I would have been 11 in 93. This movie scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid. Even though it's awe-inspiring with the dinosaurs, and it's epic, and it's grandiose, and it's got the family-friendly stuff, and it's got the kids stuff, and it's got the fun little theme to kind of uplift you and get you in the mood. It's still a scary movie when you're 11 years old. And so, in my mind, I do not question, is this a horror movie? It is, insofar as one of its many subgenres is horror. But it's not just horror, just like it's not just sci-fi or just action-adventure or just family-friendly. When you wrap it all up, yeah, this is the formula for a blockbuster. A blockbuster is a movie that, by and large, defies genre, and that's how you make a blockbuster. You make a movie that hits enough bullet points to appeal to a wide audience, and that's what this movie does. It does appeal to horror fans, just like it appeals to kids and families with kids, and it appeals to dinosaur enthusiasts, and it appeals to action-adventure fans, and it appeals to, people who are there for the spectacle, and just general audiences, just general moviegoers, and cinema fans, cinemaphiles. So this has absolutely broad appeal. And so in that broad appeal, it does appeal to horror fans, and obviously there's a debate among horror fans and non-horror fans whether or not this movie is horror. And I'm not going to say, yes, this is horror, put it in the horror section of the video store, or stick it in the horror thumbnail on Netflix, because it's not. But it is enough that, yes, as a creature feature, as a horror fan, I can recognize there is a time and a place to watch this movie as a horror film. Although not everybody's going to do that. This could also fall under the category of introductory horror, a movie that you show a young 6, 7, 8-year-old child that you are conditioning to discover horror, either on their own because they have an interest in it, or because they're you have an interest in it and they want to know, they want to share in your interests, or you just want to introduce them in the hopes that they'll discover a passion for it. So this is a good baby's first horror movie. And I say that because even though it does have horror elements in it, and it is scary to a degree, it's relatively safe for a kid. It is relatively safe for a kid. Now, that being said, it is PG-13. So, parental guidance strongly suggested. So maybe your 7-year-old might not be ready for this movie, but your 12, 13, 14-year-old is. So, use your best judgment. If I ever did a list of top 25 movies to introduce a kid to horror, this is absolutely 110% on that list. And that's really all I can say about it.